The Stand Your Ground Doctrine is a legal principle that allows individuals to use force, including deadly force, in self-defense, without the duty to retreat when they reasonably believe they face an imminent threat of serious harm or death. This doctrine significantly broadens the scope of legal self-defense and has been enacted in various states in the United States. Key aspects of the Stand Your Ground Doctrine. 1. No duty to retreat. A. Traditional self-defense laws. Duty to retreat. Under traditional self-defense laws, individuals were required to retreat or avoid using force if it was safe to do so before resorting to force to defend themselves. Castle Doctrine. Exception. An exception to this rule, known as the Castle Doctrine, allowed individuals to use force without retreating when defending themselves in their own home. B. Stand Your Ground Principle. Elimination of duty to retreat. The Stand Your Ground Doctrine removes the duty to retreat entirely, allowing individuals to use force in self-defense regardless of where they are, as long as they are legally present. 2. Use of force in self-defense. A. Reasonable belief, imminent threat. The doctrine allows individuals to use force if they reasonably believe they are facing an imminent threat of serious harm or death. Subjective and objective standard. Courts may consider both the subjective perception of the defender and whether their belief is objectively reasonable under the circumstances. B. Proportionality. Proportionate response. The force used in self-defense must be proportionate to the threat faced. Deadly force is only justified if the threat involves serious bodily harm or death. 3. Legal presumptions. A. Presumption of reasonableness. Home invasion. Some Stand Your Ground laws create a legal presumption that an individual's belief in the need for force is reasonable if the intruder unlawfully enters their home, vehicle, or place of business. Rebuttable presumption. This presumption is typically rebuttable, meaning it can be challenged with evidence to the contrary. Legal implications of the Stand Your Ground Doctrine. 1. Criminal immunity. A. Civil immunity. Protection from prosecution. Individuals who invoke the Stand Your Ground defense and are found to have acted lawfully are generally immune from criminal prosecution for their actions. Civil liability. In some jurisdictions, the doctrine also provides immunity from civil lawsuits filed by the aggressor or their family. 2. Burden of proof. A. Initial burden. Initial showing. The defendant typically bears the initial burden of producing evidence suggesting that they acted in self-defense. B. Prosecution's burden. Beyond a reasonable doubt, once raised, the burden shifts to the prosecution to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant did not act in lawful self-defense. 3. Investigative procedures. A. Police and prosecutors. Determination of justification. Law enforcement and prosecutors must determine whether the Stand Your Ground defense applies based on the evidence and circumstances. Case dismissal. If justified, the case may be dismissed without going to trial.